It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to Range Report 1 on the SIG M400 Enhanced AR15 rifle. I've been shooting this SIG M400 rifle for the better part of about 2 years. And the reason you're seeing Range Report 1 just now at this point in my ownership of this rifle is because I didn't really know a lot about the AR15 family of rifles when I first started shooting this gun. And I wanted to spend enough time with it that I felt comfortable before I got in front of this camera and started talking about something I really didn't know anything about. And I am really happy with the SIG M400 Enhanced and the AR15 as a rifle, as a gun that I own. And I spent the time to learn how to take it apart and to change parts and to care for the bolt and take a firing pin out and do different things like that. And I'm not going to show you how to do that because I'm not the right person to do that, but I can do that. And part of owning a rifle like this, whether it's for sporting purposes or self-defense purposes, home defense, or whether just a pride of owning a tool, a weapon like this, I think part of that, part of the value of that is knowing how to maintain that weapon, knowing how to swap out parts if they're broken or something happens. And since my purchase of this gun, I've purchased other lowers and other parts that go to AR-15s. And I've been really impressed with the lower on the SIG M400 Enhanced. And that's one of the first things I want to show you here on Range Report 1. This has a really, really nice lower on it. It is really thick. It's really reinforced. Other guns are just fine. Many other individual companies make great AR-15 lowers, but I'm really impressed with the thickness and rigidity that goes into the SIG M400 Enhanced AR-15 lowers. And in my initial impressions video, I talked about this a little bit, but I really didn't show the lower. And I really like how thick these portions are. I really like the different pieces that then they put inside this lower. I purchased another lower from a different company and was, when I started looking at it, was really surprised at how much thinner it was. It's still a great gun. It still comes from a great company. I'm not going to mention it because it doesn't matter. But it made me value the way the SIG M400 Enhanced is manufactured. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if I can get the camera just right in the lighting, but you see that there's like a little pin there. That's actually under tension down there, and that forces tension up onto the upper so that there is a tight fit once these two halves go together, so that there's no movement in between those. Once you flip this pin back through, that tensions it up. You don't have to put some kind of a wedge. Some AR-15s, the way the upper and the lower mate together, have a problem. SIG has taken care of that by including that little tension there, and I like that. I like the additional attention to detail which SIG has put into their lower, and that's really made me like the gun. Another thing that I've noticed, because I've been looking at other AR-15s, is the positive click which their safety has. I really appreciate that. There are some AR-15s Certain companies that kind of have a mushy safety. I've never had a hard time getting the safety on and off, but I like that it's very positive. On, positive, off. On, off. I know that click is very clear, and I appreciate that. Another thing that I like about this gun is the barrel on the SIG M400 Enhanced rifles. Pull off my handguard there. It's not a standard, even though this is technically like a carbine length gas system and an M4 profile kind of a gun. It does not have the standard M4 profile barrel. It's a little bit thicker there, and I like that. I like a little bit thicker barrel in that area. It's thinner, of course, on the military rifles because they want to be able to attach, or the way they were previously attaching grenade launchers, they needed a little bit thinner barrel here. Since recently in the last couple years that has changed, but that's the way a lot of standard M4 profile barrels or AR15 carbine length barrels have been profiled because of the military. And remember, SIG isn't making every part of this gun, right? SIG isn't making the handguard. SIG it probably isn't making the front sight post there. It's not making the barrels. It's assembling parts, and it's basically what you're getting is a SIG lower, right? With parts that they've assembled at their factories and their attention to detail, but they're not making every single one of these pieces. So that's just something to consider. Since I purchased this about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago or so, prices were significantly higher than they are now. And so I paid about $1,200 for this gun. You can expect to pay about $200 less currently as of the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015. Of course, prices are going to be up and down and all around depending on what happens in the coming years. I have my Aimpoint Comp M4S running on this gun. I previously ran a Leopold 3x9 scope on it, but I really like the Aimpoint. I really like the Comp M4S. It's got 8 hours, it's got basically 8 years of battery life with one AA battery in there. So I really like the Aimpoint. Really good, does a great job of helping me acquire targets quickly. I really appreciate the fact that when you purchase this gun from SIG, it comes with a quality back sight that's made out of metal, and I really like that fact. Part of the reason that I've taken so long to produce this full review, or Range Report 1, Range Reports 2 and 3 are coming up, they're in the works, is because I wanted to not just know how to maintain the weapon, but how to run the weapon, how to reload. And you'll see there, and at the introduction of this video, if you want to go back and check it, you'll see that I'm kind of playing around with how I'm going to reload this gun. Do I, when the slide locks back, or the bolt locks back like so, do I punch this, the bolt release, or do I run the charging handle after putting a new mag in it? Do I just run the charging handle, or am I coming up and running that little button? I have chosen basically to just run the charging handle. So I come up with my right hand, my left hand, load it, and then load the gun like so, just for ease of use, and for all the other ways that I load other firearms. Whether I'm shooting an AK or whether I'm shooting a handgun, load it and then come up there and rack the slide. Here I'm basically doing that same motion, loading and racking the bolt. I also think this is a more reliable way of doing it. You're actually pulling the bolt back a little bit further before it rides forward, and you got to let it go. Whereas if you're clicking that, you're basically pushing that button down. And that is what it's designed for. I understand. I'm not saying that that's not an appropriate way to do it. But if you push that, right, you're not pulling the bolt back. You're just letting it slide forward. And I think pulling it back just that little bit will probably increase the reliability as this gun feeds. I've had, I've shot hundreds and hundreds of rounds through this gun at this point. And I've had 2 situations where I've had malfunctions, and that was within the first day of me owning the gun, and I didn't understand how to insert the mags and get it working. Other than that, the gun has been flawless. And part of that reloading and knowing how to operate the gun, I'm just going to show you how that ends up working with just running the bolt here. I showed a clip of that, but I'm going to show that clip again right here and show you how I am operating using the gun with just loading it and then running the charging handle instead of other ways of riding the bolt forward on a new magazine. So you're going to see a clip here. I've got multiple mags, and I loaded them with about 3 or 4 rounds and then mixed them up so I wouldn't know when that was going to come, but just me practicing reloading on the firearm. Again, I'm reloading the gun that way, even though it may be a little more time consuming. Possibly. It's not a speed reload by running the charging handle instead of pushing the bolt release, because of just having consistency across all the other firearms that I shoot, and because I think it's probably adds to the gun being more reliable. But I've been really impressed with the SIG M400 Enhanced. If you're looking for a quality rifle that you can use and expect good performance from, I think the SIG M400 Enhanced AR15 rifles would be an excellent choice. There are lots of other companies that make great rifles. Purchasing my first AR15 was kind of hard, basically 2 years ago, because there were so many different parts and things you can add on, and due to these guns, and there's uppers and there's lowers, if you're buying your first AR-15, don't try and assemble your own upper and lower. Get one that's already pre-assembled from a company that you trust, and then as your knowledge grows, you know, the sky's the limit then. These things are so modular, and I really like that about them. But that initially worried me, concerned me, because it just seemed like everybody was like, these were like Legos that they're putting together, and I didn't know if I could trust a gun that I did that with. At this point, I would be willing to take a upper from any number of companies and a lower from any other number of companies and put them together and know that that rifle is going to run well. But purchasing the SIG M400 Enhanced really got me into the AR-15 family of rifles. I really like them. I think they're extremely ergonomic. I think they are great guns, and if you're looking for one, and because I think prices have dropped here, you know, you can probably get a SIG M400 Enhanced for around $1,000 right now. You know, and that's going to fluctuate some, and it probably will in 2015 and upcoming years, but this is a really good gun, and I would really recommend it to you. If you like this video, I would encourage you to look for range reports 2 and 3, which are coming out, which are in production on the SIG M400 Enhanced. I'm going to have some shooting and moving that's going to be done in those videos, and some more looks at this excellent rifle. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. This is the Gear Tester signing off.